One of the most popular topics in the snowboard world right now has to be the step-in or step-on binding market. It's blown up huge in the last couple of years with a lot of new and innovative ideas and different products that challenge, your regular method of ratcheting each individual strap down. And what I have here is the Freedom binding from CLEW. CLEW, I think, is definitely one of the most popular options in the step-in and step-on binding market. And while I haven't actually had the CLEW in snow yet, I have had it for about 6 months in my possession. I've gotten to play with it around a lot. And what I wanted to do today is answer a lot of the questions that I've gotten in the comments when I've posted a lot of different little YouTube shorts and things, kind of playing with the CLEW binding. And hopefully these answers are going to be helpful to you because there's a lot of people that have asked me some repetitive questions. So I thought I'm going to take this time, I'm going to analyze the CLEW for you all and show you what I do know and what I have learned over the last 6 months. Now, I will be rocking the CLEWs this entire season. I'm going to be taking them to Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, all over the place. I'm going to really put this binding through the ringer. So if you want to follow along and see how these hold up and see my full long-term review that I'm going to do, I'll do like a beginning, middle, and end of season review on the CLEW bindings and show you how they've held up, how I've liked them over the course of the season, as well as how they compare to the Burton step-ons, which I've been using for the last 2 seasons. So let's dive into those questions. One of the big benefits and reasons why the CLEW binding is so popular is for the fact that this binding can fit any boot. You don't have to have a specific step-on boot just to be able to rock this binding. The boots you already have right now can fit into this binding, making it compatible with the entire snowboard boot market. And that's huge, because that is one of the big things that are drawbacks of some of the other step-ons on the market, is that you do have to have a specific boot, and not everybody wants to have to buy boots and bindings outright. How much does the CLEW binding cost? Well, you can pick up a set of these bindings by themselves for $4.99 on CLEW's website, which I will link below. However, the great thing about this is, typically, if you're like me, you have multiple snowboards, you're going to want to have multiple sets of bindings because otherwise you're constantly changing your bindings out. Once you have the bindings, you can buy just this base piece. You can buy just this base piece for $2.50. which is significantly cheaper than trying to buy several different types of bindings across all boards. That also gives you the ability to just be able to instantly switch from board to board and just leave the high back attached to your boot, which I think is really cool. How do they rank in terms of stiffness? Stiffness, I'd say it's definitely on the stiffer side. The Burton step-ons have been super stiff, and I feel like these are right on par with them. They do have a little bit of torsional flex. I can't really comment too much without riding them yet, but I think it's a definitely medium to higher end of the flex scale. They're not a soft flexing binding. Another question that I've been asked a lot is, how is the initial build quality? Build quality wise, I've played and messed around, set them up. I've done a lot of different things with these bindings, just testing them on a mat and clicking in and out, jibbing a little bit around the house. As far as build quality goes, it ranks just as good as any binding that I've used in the past. Burton, I've ran several different models of Unions. They seem really, really well made. They are handmade in Germany, and I mean, they feel top notch. They feel really solid. They don't feel like a cheap, kind of poorly made binding. They feel really, really sturdy. Now, the next thing I want to answer that I've been asked a lot is, how are they in terms of weight? So I actually have with me a scale right here, and we're going to weigh them. I'm going to let you know how much they weigh. Now, I do know a Union Strata, which is a very common binding in the Union lineup, weighs 2 pounds with the disc, screws, everything. So we're gonna see what the CLEW weighs. Right now, I have the CLEW binding here on the Baker scale, getting 2 pounds, 8.8 ounces with the binding, the screws, and the disc. So also, in terms of weight, I get asked all the time, how much does this weigh on the back of your boot? So I'm gonna show you what it weighs, what my boot weighs with the binding and without the binding strapped to the back, just so I can show you. With my snowboard boot, I'm getting 2 pounds, 2.7 ounces. Now let's see what it weighs with the high back on the back of the boot. With the CLEW binding on the back of the snowboard boot, I'm getting 3 pounds, 4.9 ounces. That is a 1 pound, 2 ounce difference that it does make having this high back strapped to your boot. However, this is not something you're gonna feel while you're riding because it's gonna be clicked into the binding anyway. So I don't know, a lot of people said, isn't it gonna be heavy walking around with it like that? But I didn't really understand that because it's gonna weigh the same as a whole binding once you're clicked in. So yeah, you're not gonna really care about the weight when you're walking around. You're not gonna walk very far in it. Which does actually bring me to another question that I've gotten about this a lot. Are you gonna look like a kook walking around with the high back strapped on the back of your boot all day? Well, you can just unstrap if you're gonna walk a long distance. If I was gonna walk a far distance, I wouldn't leave this hooked onto my boot, mainly because I don't wanna take this into the bathroom or anything like that, or because that's just gross. And I wouldn't wanna walk on a long distance of concrete because I don't wanna worry about tearing up the bottom of my binding. So for walking to and from the lifts, getting off and on like that in the snow, you know, no big deal. But if I'm gonna go a longer distance, I'll just unratchet it like a regular binding. But while I had this apart, I did just want to show exactly how it works. So you have these 2-stage systems right here. You've got one click and then your second click. And what that's gonna do is with this part of the binding, you're gonna get that little metal tab. There's one on each side. And as you can see, it's a pretty good sized metal piece. That's gonna click down in. And that's what keeps you locked into the binding. Now, what gets you out of the binding is when you pull this red lever, it's gonna retract these. And so they go in, which allows it to slide up and back out of those. So when you're locked in, that's metal on metal. It's not a cheap piece of plastic holding you in there. You've got a full metal cleat holding your foot in the binding. Now, the next thing that I get asked all the time is, do they still work with snow in them? Now, first of all, any binding, I don't care, Burton step-ons, the CLEW, step-in, a traditional binding, any binding, when you get a bunch of snow in your binding, you're still gonna take your glove and wipe it out because you don't wanna ride with snow underneath your boot. It's not comfortable and you don't feel like you're ratcheted all the way in the binding. Plus, say you ratchet on top of snow, some of that snow clears out, well then your binding's loose. So any binding, I don't care what binding you're riding out there, you're gonna have to dust the snow out of your binding if it's snowing real heavy. However, there is one innovative thing that is in these CLEW bindings that I wanna show you. As you can see, there's a little bit of a gap right there. And what that's for is to help accommodate if there is snow buildup that gets in there while you're riding with the high back attached to your boot. That little gap leaves a little bit to allow you to still be able to click in with some light snow sitting on top of your binding. Another question that I get all the time is how easy are they in comparison to the Burton step-ons? I do think the CLEW is simpler. It's faster to get in and out. I love the Burton step-ons, don't get me wrong. I've been using them the last 2 seasons. But there is a bit of a learning curve. And for your first day or two, you will kind of struggle till you get the movements down. And then once you get it, it's fine, it's really simple. The CLEW, there is no learning curve. I immediately put them on, was able to get in and out. No troubles whatsoever, and they were super easy to use. It's a smoother and more natural motion to just, you basically scoop your toe in and drop your heel, and that's what's gonna click you in. Versus the Burton step-on, what you have to do is go heel first and then rock side to side. So, and then to come out, you lift the lever and just pull your boot straight up. Again, on the Burton step-on, you kind of gotta hit the lever and do a little bit of a heel twist motion. So the CLEW is just a little bit of a more natural feel, and I think smoother when you're going in and out. Are the CLEWs adjustable? Well, they've got your traditional high back adjustment like any other binding on the back. They also have all different sorts of adjustments you can make on the straps to be able to make them fit your boot, as well as the footbed is adjustable as well. You can slide it forward and backward and click it into these different notches depending on your boot size. So yes, I say they're adjustable. The last question that I get asked the most, of course, is how do they ride? And that one I cannot answer yet. But if you want to see how these hold up, like I said, I'm going to be rocking them all season. I'm taking them to all sorts of different resorts, so I'll be able to update you on that. I also am going to do a full video comparing the CLEW with the Burton step-on, showing everything side by side. And so if that's something you're interested in checking out as well, definitely stay tuned for that. Like I said, I used the Burton step-ons for 2 years. Now I'm going to use the CLEW, and I want to see how the two compare in a one-on-one kind of head-to-head battle at home and on the resort. So that's going to be coming very soon. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please smash that like button. It's going to really help me out. If there's any questions about the CLEW bindings that I did not answer, leave those in the comments below, and I'll definitely get back to you. I respond to every comment that I get. I do post daily YouTube shorts on this channel, so if that's something you're also interested in, I pump those out like crazy. I have those coming, and tons of great winter content coming as we get into the winter. I'll also link CLEW's website down in the description below as well if you are interested in checking them out or picking them up. I really can't wait to get these bindings on the snow, and let's just hope that we all get some snow real soon. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch and hang out with me. I'm Alex from Boards, Bikes, and Hikes. Hope to see you all in the next one soon.